I've wanted to do this video for a long time. It's something I've spoken about before, and I wanted to do it properly for you guys on my podcast. So this is episode 2 of the Incredible Podcast, and this is my story from homeless to tattoo artist. Now, I am going to go through my whole journey from what happened, how I got homeless, why I was made homeless, and why sort of the background of where I grew up, so you can see where I've come from and the journey that I've been through to get to where I am now, hundreds of miles from home, which is where I call my home now. So if you can see in the right hand of the screen, or if you're listening through audio version, you won't be able to see this, but I've got a picture of the earth next to me, and that's where we live. That is where human population lives. Now, I am going to find where I live on this earth, and this is going to be quite fun. I'm going to see if this works because I haven't done this. You can see my mouse. So we're going to click. We need to move the earth around. Let's go into England. This is the United Kingdom. Shout out to all these countries, man. I love you all. Shout out to everyone on the planet. This is really cool. I've never done this before. It's a really cool thing. So this is England, and we're going to go into, and I'm from this tiny part here. Now you can see where London is in a minute. This is London. This is where I live now, and this is where I'm from. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's a very, very quiet corner of United Kingdom. And if we zoom further in, see Peterborough. Now that's the closest city from where I used to live, and that was a good, I would say, 40 minutes away, probably. So it's nearly an hour away. This is Holbeach. This is where I grew up. So let's zoom in. You can see there is nothing but fields and really, really small little. See, Holbeach is a relatively. It's a big town compared to all these little villages around, but it's not big. It's not big. That is literally the whole town there, center of your screen, and it's it's basically just a big housing estate with a high street that goes down this section here. That's literally the high street, and that's it. Got like a big thing here, which is a Tesco's, which is like a food supermarket. This is the college that I grew up in. Got a big field, etc. And that's it, guys. Like, that's literally where I'm from. I used to live in this estate here, and you can see if I zoom out, there is nothing for miles. We're talking about 30 odd miles, and this is a really flat land. You can see where the earth is. I feel like I'm David Attenborough, literally explaining everything. But yeah, all this is flat. This is called the Wash. Wonder if you can see it on this part here. Can't see it to tell you, but this part here is called the Wash, basically. And all these are nice beaches, so I wasn't too far from a beach, etc. It's just a very quiet part of the UK, and that's where I'm from. So there isn't much opportunity. Most people that grow up there get into trades like building and being a plumber or being an electrician, something like that, or a hairdresser. Most girls are hairdressers or beauticians. So yeah, that's where I grew up. And if we zoom out a bit more, see the whole of the UK. I travelled 150 miles down. See, yeah, this is where I grew up. We go all the way down the country. This is towards London. This is the busiest part, the most populated part of the UK. And I now live here, near the Surrey Hills. But I'm going to take you on this journey from where I did live, and get into how I ended up round one of the the most desirable places to live in the UK, I guess. For argument's sake. But so I grew up obviously in Holbeach, and while I was there, I went to college. I went to the school, the one I showed you. I'll just go back into the video, the map again. And yeah, I grew up. I studied at school. It's not a big town. It's like 10,000 people live there. So I went to school. I then finished school, graduated. I then I think I've got like 7 GCSEs, which is like grades, which is not bad. It's like just a bit above average, I think. And I went into 6th form, which is on this campus again. There we go, University Academy Holbeach. This is where I'm from. This is the 6th form just here. Wow, this is really clear. I'm really impressed. So this was my school, and this was the 6th form building that this is the main school. It is big. It's a big school. It fits I think 1,500 students in. For the area, it's big. So this is the technology park behind it, and then we've got all these little like science blocks and stuff like that. And it's a sports college as well. So you got all the tennis courts and football courts and God knows what else on there. So yeah, I graduated and I went into the 6th form, which is this building here, and I studied plumbing. I studied to be a plumber, a pipe fitter, and I went into motor vehicle mechanics as well, which is actually this end block here. This is where the motor vehicle section of 6th form was. 6th form's like a college where I'm not sure what the definition of a 6th form is, but it's like a college. It's where you go after you graduate from school, from secondary school. So you got primary school, then you got secondary school, and then you go to college. 3 stages of your school academic life. So this was the last part of my academic life, and I went to that. I studied motor vehicle maintenance mechanics for about a year. Graduated from that, got MVQ level 2, so I could work in a garage if I wanted to. Really wasn't my idea of fun. I was good at it, but because I'm really into cars. Like if you do follow my Instagram, shout out on the bottom of the screen. That's my Instagram. You'll see I'm really into my cars. But yeah, I didn't really like it in terms of what I wanted to do for a career. It wasn't that great money. And growing up around here, I was always told you need to be a tradesperson. You need to be a tradesperson because that's who gets the most money. And we had a family friend, Chris, and he was a plumber, and he used to come around and do our plumbing work in the house, the family home. And yeah, I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. So that's what I picked at 6th form. And I studied to be a plumber. I graduated, studied for about 3-4 years, I think. I graduated, got all my qualifications. I then bagged an apprenticeship. Let's see if I can find it as well. This is a great little window that I've got here. So I bagged an apprenticeship, and it was past all of this. So it was in Spalding, which is, where is it? It's the next biggish town on from Holbeach. So you've got Holbeach here, where I grew up, and my apprenticeship was through these little small towns across the fields in a bigger town called Spalding, which still isn't that big, but it's bigger than, you know, if you think this is a city, you can see the size of that, see the size of Spalding. That's it's pretty small. You know, this is Peterborough. This is a city. This is the closest part. It's still a small town, but then you got small tiny Holbeach from where I'm from. So yeah, so I got an apprenticeship in plumbing when I was 18. I was 17 when I left school, when I left sixth form. And I'll try and find it actually. So yeah, I got it be over here. I would thought, yeah, this is where it is. You got the big power station, wherever that is. Where's that? Is that it? Yeah, that's the big power station. Yeah, you see the two funnels here. So I then went to work in a bigger town, Spalding, just here. And you can see that is the building just here. And this is called Glenfarrow. This is a plumbing firm in Spalding. If I zoom out from here, you can see where it is. Right out the back end of Spalding. You can see Holbeach there on the map. That's how far away I had to travel every day to get there. It's about 20-minute drive, 25-minute drive, depending on traffic. Now, this is called a biomass boiler, and I actually fitted this. I actually fitted this biomass boiler in the yard. It's called the yard. A pipe container. Literally, it's mad seeing this. Going back really in the past. So, you know, I'm 28 now, so I'm 29 this year, and this is when I was 17, so well over 10 years ago. So yeah, I studied here. I got a job here as an apprentice plumber, and I was there for, I believe I got fired at 21, so 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, so 4 years, nearly 5 years, because it was November when I got sacked, just before Christmas. Was I a good plumber? Not really. I probably made more leaks than I did fix them. Wasn't ideal. See, having plumbing as a job. So yeah, I was there for a while, but you know, I got fired because I did something wrong, and it just got to a point, because I was fitting these biomass boilers for a good 2 years. You know, I was with one guy. When I first got there, I was doing like houses and stuff like that, and we went really like renewable energy. The company went really into renewable energy and ended up building these biomass boilers. And I was the one with another guy that got picked from the company called Scott Cooper. Shout out to you if you ever watch this. Probably not. Or listen to this, but yeah, Scott Cooper was a really cool guy. Me and him got on. We used to work together. We used to get picked together to work together a lot. And we, as a duo, used to go away and stay away in digs around the country and fit these biomass boilers. Now, that was really, when I was growing up, because I'm from nothing but fields. The closest city was Peterborough. When I used to go to the cinema or something, it was like 40 minutes away. I never knew what the UK looked like. It's a small island. It's not, you know, it's nowhere near as big as the US. Some states in the US. So it was a really attractive offer for me to go and do that. So I went and did it. I travelled around the whole of the UK for, I think our first job was Hungerford. That's down right on the south coast towards it's around here, Hungerford. Anyway, so yeah, it was on the south coast, It was towards the south coast. And so yeah, I travelled from little small Spalding, which is roughly about here, all the way down through London, then up this way, and it's around this area here, Hungerford is. And I really enjoyed it. I really, really, really enjoyed working away. I was seeing the country. I was traveling in the van, you know, and I was staying away for like a week. You know, it was like a mini kind of break, you know, from the depressing fields and no trees, just literally miles and miles and miles of fields. You would have seen on my Instagram if you follow me on my stories when I go back home. And yeah, so it was really nice for me to do that. And 2 years went by. I started to get into bodybuilding. Sometimes it wasn't every week I did it. We'd have like 4 months off, and in those 4 months off, I got really into the gym. I wanted to compete in bodybuilding, basically. So that was like a massive thing. You know, I was still like I was just turning 18 at this point. It was like a massive thing for me because my dad used to bodybuild and stuff. So I was sort of brought up in it, and like, you know, surrounded by it, and so yeah, so I was working out like 6 days a week. I got quite big, you know, I got to a decent size, and then we started to work away again, and I was like, oh no, it's not good, can't train. So I had to kind of, you know, it was like a lifestyle for me at this point. It was giving me confidence. I wasn't a very confident young lad, and it was giving me confidence. And I used to work away, and I remember looking up on my phone, right, where are we staying? Okay, cool. Closest gym. So I would get up before work at like 3 a.m, go and find this gym. And I think that's where my dedication came from, to work towards something, even though it's not that, you know, you can't just go to a gym after work. You have to look, you have to prepare, and I think that I've carried that aspect into my tattooing career. So there's all these things that I'm talking about are quite relevant to where I've got to now. And yeah, like, you know, I did that for about 2 years. I was working away for 2 years, literally up and down this country, from the top of Scotland to Aberdeen, which is over here in Scotland. I went to Edinburgh, which is around here, Glasgow, around here. I went to Manchester, Liverpool. I went to Birmingham. I went to Wales. I went to Newbury, which is around here, just on the border. I went everywhere. I went to Devon. I went to Somerset, which is here. You know, I went everywhere, which is why I know all these places on the map, because it educated me on where I was going. I did some in Norfolk, which is around here. Essex. Norfolk's more around here. Essex. I did them everywhere. I did them local around here. I went up to Lincolnshire, went up to Hull, which is around here. So yeah, I went everywhere. I travelled the country for 2 years and fitted as a big steel pipe fitter, which was really, really, really heavy pipe. 6 meter length, so it was, you know, it's a substantial bit of weight. And yeah, I you know, it got to the point where I was like, I can't train anymore. I miss my family. I'm a home kind of man. You know, I'm very homely. I was living with my nan. My granddad just passed away, so I was living with my nan to sort of like keep her company and stuff. Blamed it on the internet, and if you know, you know. And yeah, you know what, I just felt like I was just getting, can't be asked. And it then got to the point where I wasn't having much fun because I wasn't working with Scott again. I was working with different people. I was in charge of some jobs, and you know, when I was 18, 19, being in charge of a job when I've got like a 45, 50-year-old with me that's got way more experience than me, not doing biomass boilers, but plumbing. You know, me telling, a kid telling a man what to do is not going to fly. You know, it's not gonna, it's not gonna, it's not gonna fly. Like he's just gonna do what he thinks is best, because that's, he's just not going to listen to a kid. So ultimately I ended up getting sacked because we went to Bolton, which is above Manchester. It's around here. It's quite far away. It was a good 5-hour drive away. And we were staying up there for about 2 weeks. It was fitting 2 biomass boilers. 2 biomass boilers together. So it was a big job. Stayed up there for 2 weeks, and excuse me, and we finished the job, and all in these roof spaces there was these pipes that were like plastic pipes, and they weren't clipped up to the wall. And I was like, I didn't bother checking. I should have checked. It was a guy I was with who did that. I left him to do that in the roof space. It's a shit job. I gave him it. And it got to a point where I was like, okay, cool, sweet, we've done the job. It works. It worked fine, and someone went up. We got back home. We then got put on another job in Maidenhead, which is down south. It's like it's around here. So it's down south. It's like west. It's near Kent. It's basically Kent, which is this area here, east of London. I live just here, so it's around here. So it's close. It's kind of close home, and we got sent there. And I got a call saying you were suspended with immediate effect. Get a solicitor or someone to represent you, because you're going to be trialed for blah blah blah. And I was like, bloody hell! Yeah, I feel like I've murdered someone. And I was 19 at this time, so ended up getting sacked. Long story short, ended up getting sacked. I kind of knew it was going to happen. And to be honest, I was like, I almost went into that meeting and I was like, you know what? I kind of want to get sacked because I just cannot be asked to work away all the time. So I was kind of like, I was going to get paid off a bit. He was going to carry on paying me until Christmas, which was sweet. And then I had to look for another job. Now, around that area at that time, there was no, well, still now, there's no jobs there. There's a lot of Eastern Europeans over there, Lithuanians, Polish, and Latvians, and people from places like that. So they were coming in, and it was, when I say that it was very overcrowded with Eastern Europeans, it was, it was, I think in Boston, I think it still is now, but in Boston, I'm pretty sure 80% of the population in Boston, and that's a big town. That's a like a port town. So a lot of things were going into Boston, and that was 80% of the population in Boston was Lithuanian and Polish, I think. So there was, and they are such hard workers. Us English are a bit lazy, especially when you get older. You find older people are a bit lazy. I'm not talking for everyone, so don't go crazy in the comments, but they are very hard working, because they're just, I eventually got a job in a factory. I think I was the third English person in that factory, so I had no one to speak to. It was very lonely. I was working in that factory for about a year, packing pizzas, because I was struggling for money. Living with my nan, couldn't pay her rent because obviously I'd been sacked from a plumbing job. So I was like, shit. Like it wasn't a good time. So I was looking for a plumbing job maybe, or like a labourer's job or something to tide me, get me by basically. And it got to a point where I was like really desperate, and I really didn't want to work in a food factory, but there was so many around there because that's just the place it is. It's really good for agriculture around there. There's a lot of food growers and stuff like that that supply the whole of the UK sometimes. So yeah, we were one of the best kind of companies in the UK, I think, backable for food and packaging and stuff like that. So I went and worked over at Backable, packing pizzas into boxes for 12 hours a day for a year, going in at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I had to get up at 4:30, 5, get ready, get showered. I was training as well. So I'd either train in the morning or after work. But when you stood up because you had 3 breaks, which wasn't enough. So, there were Eastern European team leaders that were just running you off your feet, man. They were really hard. It was almost, they're from a harder place than England, I think. So they're quite like, do this. Like running around like a headless chicken. So by the time I was home, I was fucked. I was ready to sleep, and wake up the next fucking day, and that's it. And that was my routine. It was awful. It was going to work for 12 hours a day, not seeing daylight. Sometimes in the winter months, I would get up at 4:30, 5, or even earlier than that, 2 or 3 in the morning, train, because I was still bodybuilding then, train, and then get up and go swing by my mate's house because he was working with me, Ash Wells. Shout out to you if you ever watch this. We worked there for a year together, so I'd swing by my mate's house and go to work for like 5 minutes to 6, 5:55 in the morning, and it was, and then I'd stay there until 6 o'clock at night, clock out, and it'd be dark. So it'd be pitch black in the morning when I went in, and it'd be pitch black at night when I came out. So it was a really depressing time in my life. I'm 21 at this point. No, I'm 20 at this point. I'm 20 years old. I was living for the weekend. That's not a great mindset anyway. Living for the weekend is not a good mindset to be in. And people that live normally for the weekend, are people that hate their job, and it's like a release before they have to then go back to the hellhole they work in because they don't enjoy their job. And that's a really bad way of living, I think, in my opinion, which is why I changed it to something I love. But that was just, I was always brought up to work. I was always brought up to, to graft, so that's what I did. I never expected anything to land in my lap. And so I stayed there for about a year. Couldn't deal with it. I walked out one day. I was like, fuck this. What the hell am I doing with my life? I'm now 21 years old. I'm working in a fucking pizza factory, not seeing daylight sometimes. Only in summer, when I'd get out, I'd have like 3 hours of daylight, because then it'd get dark at like 9. And you just think, what the fuck am I doing, dude? Like, what am I doing? Instagram wasn't big back then. It wasn't a massive thing as it is now. Social media wasn't even big back then. It was just Facebook, and that's it. So, there wasn't, ways to create and be influencing and stuff like that. But while I was working at this food factory, I started to get into music. And as you can tell, I'm quite a creative person. So I started to get into music. I started to produce music because I was going out at the weekend. When I was living for the weekend, I was going out. And there was all these DJs coming into the Spalding town and the Peterborough town from London and DJing house music and stuff. And I really, really got into house music. So I was like, okay, this sounds good. And I ended up speaking to, I can't even remember his name, but I wish I remembered his name. But he helped me sort of get onto a website where you could sort of buy sounds and stuff like that and then put them together in Ableton Live. So I taught myself how to produce music, and years. I did it for about 2 years. Was quite good at it, and I got noticed by a record label down in Southampton, which is see it down here. There it is. The on the south coast. It's a university town. So Winchester was then, when I was 21, I got headhunted for music. I was having my music played on Radio 1 and stuff like that, which is like a big deal. So this is where I grew up, where I was working. So I signed a contract. The guy also the guy that owned the label also owned like a side business. It was like an electrician company. And I've been on site before. I was working on site for 4 years doing plumbing. So I thought, yeah, sweet. He was like, until your music sells, until you start to do gigs, just work at this company and starting earning money to be able to afford rent down here, because it's a lot more expensive. Like from here where I grew up to here around this area is night and day in terms of how much a flat is. You can get a house, like a big 3-4 bedroom house with a massive garden, garage, conservatory, like £700 a month rent. Now that's a room. That's a small single room around here. So that's how big, the houses. If you was to rent the house, with the conservatory and a big garden, down around Southampton or London area or Reading or anywhere like that, or where I live now, you're looking at thousands and thousands a month, at least 3,000 a month. So I went and worked in his electrician company as a labourer, and I think his dad owned it as well. His dad was a bit older, so he was sort of like coming away from it and giving it to his sons. And I worked there. I started gigging on the weekends. I was gigging down the south coast, all down here. I didn't go as far as Torquay, but I went from Exeter around here. I DJ'd in Bournemouth. I DJ'd in Southampton. I DJ'd in Brighton. I DJ'd in London as well, and Salisbury, which is around here. There it is. Did a New Year's Eve gig there, and I lived in Winchester just here. This is where I live. It's a beautiful, beautiful town. Actually, it's classed as a city because there's a cathedral there, but it's a small city, probably as big as Spalding. But you'll see I'm pretty sure the cathedral is where it is now. There it is. The cathedral is the biggest in Europe, I believe. I believe it's the biggest in Europe. It's one of the largest cathedrals in Europe. There you go. You can see that. Oh, you can't see that. Let's move the box. That's not it. Maybe it is it. Oh. Going on. Where's the capture? There we go. There you go. Winchester Cathedral is one of the largest in Europe. So that's why it's classed as I'm giving you a very good history lesson. But yeah, this town was very, very beautiful. Very, very beautiful town in Hampshire on the south of England. And yeah, it was pretty nice to live, and also very expensive. Although the house I was living in was a shared accommodation, and I was staying with three Polish guys and a younger guy downstairs, and I had a small room, and the place was just shit. I was really living badly. I was getting by, but it was nice to get out and be in a nice town and stuff like that. So I was kind of stepping up. Long story short, the label folded, ended up going bust. No, they didn't. They didn't go bust. The label joined forces with another label, and they kicked a load of the artists out. So that's the reason they dropped me. Started doing my own thing. Started doing my own, still producing, making better records. I was getting better. And then as I was down there DJing around, I met a girl. And her name was Frankie. And she introduced me to we was partying and stuff like that. It was quite wild, like DJ kind of shit. It was kind of wild. And she ended up like hanging out. We ended up hanging out and stuff, seeing each other. And a lot of her friends from down that area were into the tattoo industry. So she introduced me to a tattoo guy. I then started to hang around in the studio. Didn't even think that I was going to get into it. I was just hanging out, somewhere to go, because I'd lost work. I was trying to find work, so somewhere to go while I was in town, giving out my CV to people, go around all the businesses trying to find work. I'd then end up back at the tattoo studio, just hanging out until the day. The time went by and the day was gone, and ended up going home. So, and then I'll do it again and again and again and again. And then there was like a shop party. I think I was invited because I've made friends with the people in the studio. And I think one night we was tattooing, all like having drinks and stuff, and they're all tattooing each other. And someone was like, "Oh no!" And then I said, "Oh, let me have a go." And someone was like, "Nah." And I was like, "Yeah, go on. I bet I could put in a line better than you." Blah blah. So I went into I did I think it was an anchor on someone's. I think it was an anchor on someone's ankle, and they were actually really like, Jesus, like you can actually tattoo. I was like, really? And ankles obviously are quite hard to tattoo anyway, because they are they're the place they are, they're always rubbing. I'd like to see the tattoo actually and see how it's healed, but they are renowned to heal badly because your shoe's always rubbing on that area. It's tougher skin, it's drier skin, it's not a piece of skin that you can look after, as well as in an arm or a leg or a shoulder or a back or a stomach or a chest or a neck. So the owner of the studio, Mark, he gave me an apprenticeship. I'm not going to say the studio name, but he fucked me over. Gave me an apprenticeship. I was there for three months. From February to maybe February, March, April, May, June-ish, maybe around June. So it's about 4 months I was there for. And Mark wasn't a very nice guy. He was into drugs. I didn't know he was into drugs. Other artists in the studio that was telling me he was a cocaine addict. And I just saw a nice guy from Mark because I then started to live in North London. So when I got this opportunity in the studio, I was like, yeah, I'll give it a crack and see how I go. See if I can get good. See if I can make this a career and and get money from it. I saw how other artists in the studio were living, and I was like, seems like a pretty decent life, something, to do with art that I've always really enjoyed in school. Something I got a GCSE in school, back in this area. And I thought, you know what? Yeah, fuck it. Let's give it a go. What was I going to do on here? I can't remember what I was going to do on here. But yeah, so I ended up, I was living in North London with my aunt. So I started to live around this area. This is the area I started to live. There it is. Where? That's where I was. That's where I was living. So it's like North London area. And I was traveling from here all the way around to around this area here. So it's quite far. Was quite far. So we're talking from here all the way around to here, and that was a good hour and a half drive every morning. So sometimes Mark would say, "Come and stay with me, bro." I was like, "Sweet." Stayed with him. Stayed with him and his missus. He had a dog, a couple of dogs, and he had a son. You know, I saw him as a nice guy. He welcomed me into his home. You know, he gave me a place to stay. And I was like, yeah, sweet, cool. And then as time went by, he would have me in the shop cleaning for ridiculous hours. He would then have me, he's from the army, and I think he still had a thing of authority in him. He still had a sense of authority in him where it was, he wanted to control people, and probably wired half the time, but he was trying to control people, and he had me in the studio ripping up the bits of paper, tissue paper, off into individual things, which is normal, and then he would have me fold them like that, and then fold them again into small squares. And I was like, what? And if we did it badly, if the lines weren't, if the lines weren't like neat, he would have us do it again. And I was like, this is like fucking, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not in the fucking army, bro. And it was very strange. It was very strange, but I didn't know any better because it was my first apprenticeship kind of thing. It wasn't even an apprenticeship. I can't even class it as an apprenticeship. It was just basically having slaves around the shop. You know what I mean? It was basically that, like doing all of his dirty work so he didn't have to. He wasn't teaching us anything. He wasn't, I was there for 2 months. He didn't even have me pick up a machine. He didn't even have me stencil a piece for him. He didn't had me do anything. He was just getting me to clean, make cup of teas and coffees, and rip up his fucking pieces of paper. And I was like, if this is what an apprenticeship is, fuck this industry. Like, I'm done. So I was really, but I didn't know. He then eventually got me to break up and break down stations. And there was a girl called Emma Thorne. I have to shout her out because she was an amazing part of my life, and I'll always be forever grateful to her. Emma Thorne really tried to take me under her wing without trying to piss someone off, So you can look Emma Thorne tattoo up. She was basically the person that gave me the opportunity, because when I eventually, so this Mark guy, he was like saying, oh yeah, you need to order your stuff now. You've I was starting to tattoo grapefruit and shit like that, like fruits. I was putting all right lines, and I was using Clive's machine, another artist in the studio, to tattoo myself. I did my ankle, and yeah, it just got to a point where I was like, you know what, like, I'm ready to get my stuff. And where I was still living up in North London with my aunt, my nan just sold the house, where I was living up in Lincolnshire, and she gave her kids, my aunt and my mum, money from the house as inheritance in case anything happened to my nan. So I had my aunt saw how dedicated I was, going out, leaving every morning to get to the studio for 9. So I was leaving at like 7, 6 sometimes. I just bagged a delivery job at Domino's Pizza, delivering pizzas. Can't get away from the fucking pizzas. But yeah, it's money. It's money for fuel to get to the studio. And then I ended up buying a really small, shitty car to get to the studio as well, which broke down eventually. But yeah, it was something to put fuel into the car. So she saw how dedicated I was to be a tattooist, and she came to me one day and she was like, "You know what, Oliver? Here you go, mate. Here's £1,000." So I was struggling for money, I was never gonna, and for like it wasn't even like a crazy good setup. It was £1,000 for excuse me. It was £1,000 for it was £1,000 for like a machine. I think the first ever machine I bought, which I didn't use because you'll know in a minute. First ever machine I bought was a Rotary Works machine, and these machines are they're renowned to be good, and they were local to the area. They were built in a local area in Tattoo Land in Woking, and I was like, yeah, sweet. Bought one of them. It was lime green. It was sick. It looked wicked. I was really excited. And it wasn't a cartridge machine. It was just a rotary machine, because rotary machines weren't really cartridge then. They didn't make cartridges back then. It's his only cartridge systems were really, really new. Really new. It was literally, I think it was a couple of months before the cartridge needles came out from Cheyenne. So, and then they made the Cheyenne pen machine. So I bought all my stuff. I bought all my needles. I bought all my inks. I bought the machine. I bought the power pack. It was a critical. Bought everything, and I had it in the piercing room in a box with a drawer. So I stuck all my stuff there. And it was in there for about a couple of weeks. And then Mark comes to me one day. He's like, "Oh, you need to take, your stuff from there and stick it in this box, mate." It was like one of them steel boxes that was, it was like a hairdresser's like travel case. The silver steel boxes with all these compartments on, but you can have a little tiny like padlock thing to lock it. And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. What if someone nicks it? The fuck? Yeah, it's a great idea. So I moved all my stuff into this fucking box, man. And it was like, "Oh, keep the key in my top drawer, so you know where it is." I was like, "Sweet, thanks a lot, dude. Thank you so much." And I think it was about a week. A week went by. I was going into this, but actually, I don't even think it was a week. It was less than a week, because it was like I used that. I went into the box twice to tattoo fruit. And then one day after I'd put it all away, tucked it in. I remember it. It is in my head. It's etched into my fucking memory. So I know, like, this equipment was my life. I'd borrowed £1,000 from my aunt to buy this equipment so I could fulfill my fucking dreams. And I went back up north home. And I was in the kitchen, and I got a call from Mark. It was, and there was another apprentice there called Aaron. And he was naturally good at drawing. He was drawing really cool old school kind of pieces. He was ahead of me in the apprenticeship, because he had been there for a couple years now. And Mark calls me up when I was in the kitchen when I've gone home that day. He didn't bother telling me in person, and you'll know why in a minute. And he was like, "Yeah, hello, mate. It's not a good call. I'm afraid I've got to. I'll be on. Actually, no. You know what? I'll do it. Yeah, I've got to lay you off. We have to get rid of you because Aaron's started to tattoo now. We need the bed space. Blah blah. We're gonna do the shop up, and there's gonna be no room for you, mate. Really sorry. I was like, oh, that sucks. I was kind of getting a bit annoyed 4 months, to be honest, like traveling back and forth to a studio. And to be honest, I didn't really enjoy it because I was cleaning every fucking, I was there till 10 p.m. sometimes, like, and I wouldn't get back till fucking 11:30, 12 at night sometimes. And I was like, I wasn't getting paid. I was delivering on the weekends to afford the week for fuel, just to go and learn for free, to work in his shop for free. I was putting myself out there, and I was getting a bit annoyed, but I thought that was normal. I thought that was an apprenticeship. I thought it was normal, and it wasn't. I was basically teaching myself. There was no guidance. There was no fucking nothing. The only guidance there was from Emma, that got me to tattoo her, and she sort of, over the course of the tattoo, which took all of 20 minutes, she was saying, right, you need to go a bit deeper there, pull out a bit there, go a bit deeper, slow your hand speed down, stuff like that. I never tattooed fake skin. I just tattooed myself, because and that's why I say to people that are getting into the industry, just go straight onto your legs, because you can tattoo fake skin really, really well, and then transfer onto skin. It's a whole different fucking level, man. It is a whole different way of tattooing. You have to adapt so much to tattoo. It's just go straight onto skin. Just go straight onto skin, because I believe when you get your practice in, you won't need to then transition from fake skin to skin and ultimately start again. You may be really good at tattooing fake skin, but you're going to be shit at tattooing skin, because it's completely different. Like human skin, it's going to be really, really different. So that's why I say start on skin, start on your legs. So that's where I've got that from, because that's what I did. So Mark calls me up, have to get rid of you, mate. Okay, sweet. All right, I'll come by and grab my stuff tomorrow. Well, you can't. I mean, I fucking can't. I've just spent money on it. It's mine. You haven't got a license. So you don't have to have a license to fucking buy tattoo gear. Like, you don't have to fucking hold a license. It's not a fucking gun, bruv. It's not a pistol. You don't have to have a license to fucking carry to own tattoo equipment. You just have to have a license to tattoo members of the public. That's it. You can tattoo yourself without a license all you fucking want. That is it. So I end up calling up Emma, who's an artist in the studio. I'm like, Emma, I've got a feeling my stuff is in jeopardy. She was like, right, let me give him a call, because I explained to her what he was saying, and she was like, oh, fuck this. And she was renowned to be the best tattoo artist in the studio. She was like the best one. So she had a lot of authority, because her clientele base was mental. So she was basically earning the shop. She was basically keeping the shop alive. So whatever she says kind of goes, because the risk of her leaving was going to really put the shop in jeopardy and not fund his cocaine habit. It's harsh, but it's true. It's fucking true. So basically, I get a call back, and he's like, yeah, just spoke to Emma. Yeah, it's fine, mate. I thought you had to have a license. Fucking blah, blah, fucking blah, bruv. And he was like, yeah, sweet, cool. Come by the tattoo studio tomorrow. I'll come by. No, come and grab the key from my house, and go and grab your stuff, bro. Went and grabbed the key. No, he was like, he calls me up like an hour before I was supposed to leave. Dude, I can't find the key. I thought I brought it home. I was like, fucking convenient, bruv. You can't find the key. I should have fucking nicked the whole box. Looking back, I should have gone guns blazing and fucking nicked the box and just dealt with the shit that came in it. I should have let someone walk over me like that. And you know, but I'm pretty sure he was a part of a bike gang. He was a prospect in a bike gang, so I just didn't want the trouble, you know. So I ended up going to the studio. I was like, I can't, you know, I'll have a look. He was like, yeah, go into the studio, come grab the studio keys, see if you can find it. I remember I have this etched in my head where I put that fucking key in his top drawer. It wasn't there. He took it home. Of course he took it home. He took it home. He knew exactly where the fucking key was. And I tried to screwdriver the fuck out of this box to try and get my stuff, my lifeline, my future that I thought was, you know, this stuff was like a sacred fucking thing to me. I was like, I need this shit to live, to go. At least I've got my tools to then go and learn somewhere else. And I'm not going to be in £1,000 worth of debt, which was a big lot of money for me because I was earning less than £20 a day. So, couldn't find the shit. He couldn't find the key. I know for a fact he's stolen it. He's stolen the fucking shit. He probably took all my shit home, left the box there, and knew nothing was in it anyway. I should have taken the box out. I should have taken the whole box, stuck it in my phone. I'm pretty sure it was chained to the side. I think he put a chain. And like, do you know when you go through situations and you don't clock until you live through it, and then you look back at it like a year or two later, and you're thinking, like, all these things that were going on. Why didn't I clock? Why didn't I? Oh yeah, come and grab your fucking shit and put it in this locked box and stick it in my top drawer. Well, I've got access to it. I should have said, no, I'll keep the key, bruv. I'll stick it on my keys. And see what you had to say, you know, like be a bit more smarter. But I was naive. I was from the country, you know. I was from the country. I was still naive. I was still young. I was 21 years old, and I shouldn't have let someone walk over me like that. But you learn, you live and learn. This is the part of the journey. So so I called him back. I said, look, mate, I can't find the key. I've looked everywhere, and I had looked everywhere. I was like, where would he have stashed it? Of course he's taking it home. So calls him up, and I'm saying, like, right, okay, yeah, sweet. And he's really friendly on the phone. I'm like, maybe I trust him. Yeah, maybe I do trust him, because he had a really good way with words. He was like, yeah, mate, look, I'll carry on looking at home. I'll, you know, and I'll give you a call straight away if I find it. I hear fuck all for 3 weeks. And then, because I've made friends with the artists in the studio, Mark was saying he was going in. It took about 3 weeks to come out. It was like, I've just bought a new machine, guys. Of course you have, bruv. Of course you just bought a new fucking machine, you twat. And he comes out, he's like, yeah, I've bought a new machine. This is what I've been told from the artists in the studio, Clive and Emma. And I was like, let me guess. Was it green? Was it lime green? A really nice lime green? Same model, same fucking company? So yeah, it was. It's your machine. I was like, yeah, great. So he stole all my fucking shit. He's fucked me. He tried to fuck my ex-girlfriend as well. He was an arsehole. And you will get people like that in the tattoo industry. People with egos the size of fucking I don't know what in it. And if I was the person I am today, I would have gone fucking mental. I'd have probably burnt down the shop and then went into prison. Don't do that. But I'm not like that now. I was, but I'm not like that now. But it rolls me up because I'm just angry at myself in this situation where I'm like, why didn't I fucking do anything? You know? So it was something it was something I learned from. And so yeah, had all my stuff stolen. now had to pay my aunt back, because the whole thing with my aunt was I was going to repay her from the tattoos I was going to do with my new tattoo gear. Now, I couldn't do anything with that tattoo gear because it was stolen, so I couldn't earn the money back to pay my aunt back, bless her. So I said to myself, right, I need to go home. I need to go home to my mum's place. I was living with my nan before I moved away. I've been away, I was probably 22, 23 now. Went back. And I think this is maybe 2014 it was. I was 22. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll go back. I'll live on my mum's sofa. So I lived on my mum's sofa. I was sleeping on my mum's sofa for about 3 months. I was on the dole. I applied for the dole because I had no money. And with the dole money, I went and worked back in a factory, the fucking pizza factory again, the one that I walked out from. Went back there, and I earned enough money to buy a tattoo machine, and it was Bishop Rotary. No, it wasn't. Before that, I went down and met Emma after a few, because I was friends with Emma, the tattooist, and she had a partner called Tom, and they're really, really, really nice people. Me and Tom got on really well, and I went and met them. I was looking for work. I was, blah blah blah, and I met a guy called Steve, who was a nutcase. He was massive. He was like a debt collector for bad people. He would go around collecting money, etc. He was coming in and out of that tattoo shop when I was hanging out in there as well, Mark's tattoo shop. And yeah, so Steve was a serious guy, and he knew that I was looking for work. I was still seeing Frankie at the time, so we were still seeing each other. I was still going down there, so I was, sleeping down there, back in Surrey, in Kingston. So I was still living. I was still traveling between Lincolnshire from my mum's sofa to stay with Frankie to try and make things work. It was FaceTime and stuff like that. And Steve was like, I can get you a job at my place. And I was like, okay. This is before the Bishop thing, by the way. I jumped ahead too far. And so I was like, yeah, cool. He got me a job at John Lewis, delivering to very rich people's houses, home deliveries. And I was staying with Frankie 4 nights a week, and then traveling to there. And then I was staying in my car, sleeping in my car. And that was the first time that I was kind of semi-homeless, living in my car. And I was like, okay, cool. This is, I've just got to do what I've got to do. That's it. Frankie didn't know that I was homeless. Frankie didn't know. I didn't want to tell her that because I was fucking embarrassed. I was like, yeah, I'm staying with the mate. I had no mates around there. It was a completely different area. I had no one. I was staying at Emma's a couple nights as well. So I was like sofa surfing a bit, and then sometimes I would then have to stay in my car for like 2 nights a week. So I was staying with Frankie a couple nights, Emma and Tom a couple nights, and I was staying in my car. So I was, I didn't have a base. Ended up going to work for John Lewis at a delivery depot in Brooklands, which is very close to here now. It's weird how I've come back to the area. How I've settled in the area that it all went crazy. So ended up going to work for John Lewis, and the whole company was just corrupt, which is crazy. I didn't think it was normal. I was a bit more streetwise. Steve was a nutter. We ended up getting convicted for, basically, long story short, all the employees were stealing from the company. I'm not sure if I can get in trouble by saying this on there, but all the all the employees were stealing from the company. And I didn't know what was going on one day. I didn't have a clue, but I got convicted for it. So basically, there was CCTV. I was working and Steve calls me up and he's like, I've just been arrested. I was like, what the fuck for? Because I had no idea what was going on. We had 2 TVs on our round, which shouldn't have been on our round. And they went missing, basically. So we got arrested. And these were brand new Samsung. These were brand new Samsung curved TVs. They'd just come out. Them curved ones, you know, the curved ones. They'd just come out. Now I started to get tattooed heavily on my face and stuff like this, eardrops and shit like that. I didn't have my forehead one, but I had all my hands done. I had my arms done and stuff. I had, you know, my neck done. I had, you know, I started to look more and more unapproachable if there's a judgmental person. Now I got arrested as well. I just moved to an area. Let's find this area. I just moved to an area. I've had too much Coca-Cola, not Coke. Don't do drugs. I just moved to this area in London. This is where I was living. I was staying with Frankie, and I just moved to this area, which is a bit more towards. It was not Tolworth, Stoneleigh. That's where it was, Stoneleigh. This is where I was living. Rough as fuck. Horrible, 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 shitty area, Stoneleigh. Awful, awful area. Awful area. Not nice place to live. Rough. Not nice. But yeah, that's where I lived. I wonder if I can find it. Driving school. Off of here. Is that the... Oh. Yeah, I lived on this corner here, bruv. Yeah, I lived here. I lived on the corner. Was it on this corner? I lived here. I lived on this corner here. This is the corner I lived on. That is where I lived. Looks nice. Looks nice from the fucking picture. Looks like, oh yeah, there's nice trees. There's, you know, nice fucking neighborhood. It was a shithole. I'm telling you right now, it was a fucking shithole. The flat was quite nice, but it was a shithole. So off a main road, you know, it's getting more in towards London. London, you know, centre's just here. It was literally just, well, you can see it was literally from here to there. So it was a rough area. South London's a rough area. There's a lot of crime, a lot of stabbings, a lot of shootings. So yeah, I ended up living there. I was in there for a week. I had a living landlord, and I got arrested. I was away, so I was then working because I was struggling for work. Obviously, I'd had a call from John Lewis when Steve got arrested. I was with him, so I must have known where these two TVs have gone. So I got suspended. I was struggling for work within a couple days because there's a lot more opportunity around here because there's more jobs going. There's more, you know, it's more populated. It's more opportunity. There's way more businesses looking for jobs. So I got a job. I had to dress up in a fucking suit, and I had to go and collect the ballots from the votes that came in to change different governments and stuff like that. So I was working at night, and while I was working, my flat got raided by the police, and my living landlord, I think his name was Howard, he was like, what the is going on? He was like I think he was like a singer. He used to produce records from his bedroom, which was quite big, and it had like a recording studio in there and stuff. So it was quite a nice flat, but it was nice. There was a couple people living in his flat because it was quite a big flat, but the area was horrible. You couldn't park your car, leave it overnight. A nice one anyway. So my flat ended up getting raided and I wasn't there. I ended up going back, and Howard's going nuts at me. He's like, what the fuck is going on? Blah, blah. I fucking, the house was, I had things that were taken, phones. I had 2 phones. Just an old phone that I'd left in a drawer in the top of my thing that was taken. I had, there was things taken from the flat for evidence, and I knew where the two TVs went. It was one of those where I was struggling for money, and I was in with the wrong kind of people. And it got to the point where, I was struggling for money, and I had to do what I had to do to make ends meet. And whether or not I was going to go to prison or not, that was the risk I was willing to take for money. When you're younger, you make stupid decisions, and it's something I do regret. I wasn't brought up like that. But when you start to move from a very naive area to a good family, I wasn't brought up like that. It's no reflection on how my mum and dad brought me up. It was more of a reflection of who I was hanging out with, and it is one of those sayings where you are a product of your environment, and if you're hanging out with people that aren't very good, you're gonna get pulled into their shit. And that's what happened. I got paid off, and that's what happened. Went to court. It was a week-long trial. I'd obviously lost my job. Me and Frankie broke up. She didn't. I think she was starting to cheat and stuff like that. So I was like, I found something on her iPad, loads of messages and fucking explicit pictures that some prick was fucking sending her, and she was sending them back and stuff like this. And I was like, fuck me, like, what a fucking so I was like, fucking hell, it was, but it wasn't a shock. It's just how my life was like at that time. I was living life like that for about a year to 2 years. At this point I was probably 23, 24. No, I wasn't. I was 21, 22 still. And yeah, I was 21, 22. We broke up. I had to then end up moving all the way back to my mom's place. Actually, no, I went in and lived with my dad because my mum and my dad broke up at this point. So I had all that shit to go on as well, to deal with as well. And I ended up moving to, it was out of Holbeach. It was to Long Sutton, the next town on. You can see Holbeach here. This is Long Sutton. It's even smaller than Holbeach. That's where I lived for about a year and a half. And I'd been arrested by this point. I got taken into the station, questioning, stuff like that. And I was like, fuck me, have I really been that bad? Like, what? Like, and I was doing things I wasn't even aware I was doing. Like, I was in trouble. And I was like, why am I in trouble? Like, am I this fucking bad person now? Am I this? Because I was quite a sensitive boy growing up. I just wanted to find love, and I was, my mum brought me up to be, loved and stuff like that. And that's what I thought was the be all and end all. And I'm in that position now with my girlfriend Ellie now, and beautiful daughter Laura now. So that's jumping to the present day. But yeah, back then I was like, fuck me, like, this isn't the person I want to be. So ended up pulling myself out of that circle, bad guys that I was hanging out with from the studio. And it all stemmed from the studio. It all stemmed from that fucked up bad studio that guy Mark was running. And and you saw different artists from the studio leaving the studio. Emma left. Clive left. He'd then get new people in. And the studio went downhill. And I'm kind of glad I got out when I did. But again, what happened wasn't ideal with stuff being stolen, etc., and being in £1,000 worth of debt. So I ended up going back and forward to court, and I was traveling. I'll show you where I was traveling a long fucking way, because I was living with my dad in Long Sutton. So here in Long Sutton, from here I was traveling from there, where the mouse is, all the way down here to fucking Guildford, which is there. Now that, from there, look, to Long Sutton, so all that way I was traveling. Now that's a 4-hour journey with no traffic. If there's traffic, you're looking into the 5-6 hours. But again, it was from what I did, from who I was associated with, from what I did. And you live and you learn. You know, if you're going to, it wasn't me that did it, but I was an accomplice in the act, because I knew what happened. I didn't tell what was going on because Steve was a nutcase. I didn't know what he was going to do to me. And all my family, and I just played stupid, and I didn't even go up and say anything in the dock, because I was a mess. I didn't, you know, my life was a mess. I was definitely going to blow it. I'd rather not say anything at all than look guilty as fuck, and then for him to then have something on me. Because if we got found convicted, he was going to prison. I was going to prison as well if the judge threw the book at me and at us, and he did. The trial lasted for about a week. The judge threw the book at me, at us. Steve went to prison. I was supposed to go to prison. Got sent down as well. Then I got held in the cells down the thing, and I thought, fuck me, I'm going to prison for 3-4 months. And I was like, fuck me. Got held in a cell a few days. My lawyer was crap. I had no money to spend on an actual lawyer, so I used the court's lawyers, who are normally fucking dreadful. He was a bumbling mess in the courthouse, and I was like, fucking hell, like, this guy's he's making me look more guilty, because he think I don't know what it was, but it was almost like he thought I was guilty, and he was looking so guilty, almost like he'd done it. So it's like, fucking hell. So we got convicted. There was a jury, and now I look like how I look. And some people that are judgmental on tattoos will look at me and think, fuck me, he's a criminal. He's killed someone. He's got 2 this, he's that, he's this. There's loads of different meanings for different tattoos. These 2 teardrops are for friends that have died. And you know, it's a tattoo can mean whatever it wants to mean to you. It doesn't have to necessarily be in, you know, there's loads of different, because I did look into it, and I was like, what do I get? Do I get just an outline or one coloured in? And then there was some saying, if it's an outline, you killed someone. If it's coloured in, you killed someone. I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to go with coloured in. I don't. So that's what I got them. But yeah, ended up getting convicted, sent down. Lawyer tried to fight my case. I was living with my dad, remember, in Long Sutton, and he injured his back about 10 years prior, to the point he couldn't walk, so he was classed as disabled. He had a disabled badge and stuff like that. He was classed as 30% disabled because he couldn't walk. He couldn't do normal daily tasks on his own. Sometimes when he had a really bad flare-up, he'd split 3 discs in his lower back, or 2 discs in his lower back, trapped all the nerves in between that functioned his legs, and he was in a lot of pain. So that was another thing I went through in my childhood, seeing my dad in pain and not being able to walk. From a guy that used to bodybuild and really fit and active and in really great shape, to someone that completely deteriorated in almost overnight. He couldn't straight in his back, because all his muscles were spasming, trying to protect the area that had split. So yeah, he split 2 discs in his lower back completely in half, the vertebrae completely in half, and they were trapping loads of nerves in his back so he couldn't walk. So he was classed as disabled, and the only way I got out of prison was like for the long term was because I was a carer for my dad. Sometimes when he'd have a bad episode, I'd have to look after him. I'd have to carry him to the toilet. I'd have to, basically, do you know what I mean? Do everything that I could do to make his life easier. So my dad made a recovery, by the way. Not like that anymore. Well, not a full recovery. He's pretty fucked now because of his neck and stuff. It's gone up his neck. Ended up nearly dying and shit. That's another story, but he had a brain virus and shit, like crazy shit. So so it got to the point where I was like, wow, I'm really going to prison. And I got let off because I was caring for my dad, and they could prove that. So I got let out on what's it called, suspended sentence. And I got 12 months suspended sentence. If I was to even get a parking ticket, I was going back to prison. And it got to the point where I was like, fuck me, like so much pressure. I had anxiety by this point. I'd gained anxiety, which I've still got now. I've gained all kinds of different feelings that I was feeling through these chapters in my life that I've just gone through. And I was like, fuck, like, Jesus, like, I've got to get this out of the way. So I was put on suspended sentence, and I had to go and do community service it took just over a year to do. I got given 240 hours and I was working with like criminals that had done shit bad. And wasn't good working, still in that environment, still working with those types of people. So I made a conscious decision, and I was like, you know what, I have to get away from sweeping roads and chopping down fucking leaves and shit like this, and different stuff with all these criminals wearing a fucking community service uniform, clearing roads and stuff like that. And I was clearing up dog shit. I was cleaning fucking toilets. Like, it was horrible shit. I was working for 8 hours a day as well. Every Monday or Tuesday, I was working 8 hours a day, just doing that shit. Where in the meantime, convinced my mum to open her conservatory. I'm not going to show where I used to live on that. For privacy purposes, new people that own the house. She had a conservatory built a few years before I left home, and I convinced my mum to set up a tattoo studio, my first tattoo studio that I was working in, and where I was teaching myself to in her conservatory in the back, which had another door from the back of the conservatory, so we could literally like shut the doors off of the like the double doors that were attached to the house. We had blinds put in, and you could just lock the door and use the back door as a front door to then come around the back of the house. So it worked quite nice. So that was my first studio. And in the meantime, I'd got transferred back up north where I was living. I'll go back up north and just to follow the story around. I was back up here in Holbeach living with my mum again because my dad had moved. And I think someone else moved in with him. So I was living in Holbeach again. And I was living on my mum's sofa, and I was using the studio that I'd built, or I turned into, the conservatory turned into, as a studio. And I was still on the dole at this point, so I was I cut all the ties back from down south from the studio. Frankie had gone, studio had gone, Mark had gone, Steve had gone, Emma had gone, but I was still friends just over social media. By this point, Instagram was getting quite popular, so we're talking about now when I first started tattooing. So we're now into 2014. I was 23 now, and this is when I first started my tattoo career. And I started to buy equipment off of eBay, which I don't advise to do because it's not very nice stuff. And yeah, I bought a really basic stuff. Emma had given me an old school coil machine, which was awful. It was a really cheap eBay thing, I think, that she said she bought a few years ago, which was her first machine before she bought some Mickey Sharp's coil machines, I believe. Liner and a shader. And yeah, she gave me that tattoo machine one day when I went and saw her and Tom, just as a summer thing. I went down for the summer, just a couple days, just to see them. Stayed at their house and hung out and stuff. And I was saying, how I can't afford to have a tattoo machine. She gave me her first tattoo machine. I've got it. I've still got it somewhere. Yeah, it wasn't very good. It chewed the skin up so easy. It was awful. I had no idea how to use it. I had to kind of just turn it on, see what was what, try and put the needles in. But one thing I did take from working in the studio at Mark's place was, because I was setting up and breaking down the station properly with the gloves, what not to touch, what to touch with or without a glove on. That is the vital information I took from working in that studio. And that's what that's the vital information I took when I opened that conservatory studio at my mum's place. And so I started working there, and I was working there for about 4 months. I was doing dot work. I was really interested in geometric stuff. Like, I've got it all over my body. I've got everything. I've got on my knuckles. So I got the same thing as my throat. I've got all geometric stuff everywhere. Like, I really love geometric tattoos. I started to do them because I really loved them. Had no idea how to do them. Just taught myself. Started working from this studio, and then Emma. I was still in contact with Emma from the bad studio, and I got a call from one of the owners. They'd set up a new studio in Woking, which was back down towards the area, and this is when I went down. So I was working in my mum's studio for the studio I set up for a good 4 or 5 months, 6 months. I would say half a year to a year, yeah. About 8 months tops. And I was doing dot work. I was getting quite good. I was getting, I was putting lines in better. I then bought the Bishop. That's where the Bishop comes in. I then bought the Bishop rotary. It's a V2. It's orange. I still got it in my studio now. I'm going to frame it. So shout out to Franco and Bishop. Obviously, I paid for it. It wasn't free. But they make great machines. And that was the first machine that dropped from Bishop. It's one of the best machines I've ever used. It's really hard to use. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to get better because I've now switched from the shitty coil that I was using to this, world-renowned V2. Fuck it. No, was it V2 or was it a V1? I think it was a V2 Bishop rotary machine. Completely different systems. Coil to rotary, completely different how they work, how they drive the needle. So I was like, okay, cool. See how it goes. Struggling. Didn't have a clue how to shade, didn't know the techniques, didn't know how to line properly. That was the only thing I was practicing, was lining and dot work. And when you line and dot work for months, you get to know how deep your needle needs to go before you then start to blow out. Because even when you're dot working, like packing solid shit in, solid dots in, it doesn't really matter. You go too deep and spread that ink out under the thing with dot work. Obviously it does, but when you're trying to black in a section with just dots, I would then see when I was going too deep and when I was not going too deep. So I got used to skin depth, needle depth in with the tattoo needle and the tattoo machine I was using in the skin. So that really helped me out. And to be honest, like, yeah, dot work and geometric was all full of lines. It was all full of different shapes. It was it was teaching me how to be precise with the needle. Just gonna have a drink. And it really did help me out with my techniques. It helped me out with how to handle the machine. You get used to handling the machine, like it just becomes second nature. So I knew I learned how to handle the machine comfortably. Like it's, you pick up a machine, you just stick it in your hands and it's there. It doesn't feel awkward or nothing like that. So yeah, that was a big thing. And using, to get into all these little tiny, doing the little tiny things, sections of the geometric work, following lines. And I was building my hand muscles up. And I was like, sweet. Then I got scouted by V1 Studio in Woking. And it's all changed, different ownerships now. But a guy called Danny who wanted me to work there because he liked my dot work. He was like, yeah, dude, it's some of the best stuff I've seen for a long time around. Emma, obviously, who worked in the studio, the bad one, now works there. And they're really close. And he was like, she's brought your name forward, so she's looking out for me when I'm not even around the area anymore. I'm like hours away, 3 hours away up north, and she's looking out for me still. She's putting my name forward. She's like a proud mum, I guess. No, she's only like a couple of years older than me, but I looked up to her so much. How she handled herself and how she booked clients in and how confident she was with her clients and how talkative she was. And I was learning a lot from her, like just sitting, watching her in an everyday thing. And I went down to Woking, back towards the area, which is here now. I hope you're liking this series, by the way. Please smash a like and subscribe if you're new. So we're back down towards London. We're in Woking now. So we're near the place I got convicted, which was Guildford. This is where I went to Crown Court, remember? So, yeah. Next town on was Woking. This is a pretty big town. It's getting all redone now. I haven't been there. This is where I work. Well, I don't anymore. I might not anyway because of the COVID situation now. But this is where I've worked for the last 5 years. So it's pretty close. Like, and then this is where I'm living now. So I live around here. So this is where I live and I travel to here every day for work. So I'm getting back towards this area, which is where I currently am. So yeah, Woking, I went and applied, went down, met the owner of the studio, Danny. Sick guy, renowned to be a bit of a nutter in his time, but he's absolutely covered in tattoos all over his face, all over his head. He's absolutely covered. And I was like, yeah, being in a proper studio, nice environment, good tattooists in there. There was Jake, it was me, Emma, Jake, and Gemma. And who else was there? Me, Emma, Jake, and Gemma. Yeah, Gemma was a tattoo model. He was good at color work and stuff. Jake was good at color and black and gray. He's a sound guy. I think he's still there now. Soundest guy you'll ever meet. Funny as hell. Really, really, really good guy. Really good guy. I've got a lot of time for Jake. He's there for anyone. Workaholic. He loves tattooing. Absolutely loves it. And then Emma was there, and then I was there. I was the sort of guy that went in as the apprentice. I'd had, obviously, it was scary, guys. It was scary going into a proper studio that was run properly, not like the last one. that had a good reputation. And then I was like, yeah, sweet. You know, I was excited. I was excited for the challenge. I was excited for the journey to begin, you know, to really try and push my tattoo career. So I'd been working back in my mum's conservatory for like 6 to 8 months, and then went down. And that's where I became homeless. The owner of the studio, he was a silent owner. I'm not going to say his name because you might not like it. But he still owns the studio now, I think. And he, you know, just for privacy reasons, I don't really want to say his name, but he started doing things. He was supposed to be a silent backer, and he wanted everyone to know that he owned it, kind of thing. So he was almost wanting the fame kind of shit, not really, but kind of. Yeah, he just wanted to be known as the guy that set the, you know, it was like an ego. It was an ego boost at the end of the day. And I think Danny and him fell out, had a massive bust up. They fell out, and they ended up going separate ways. Some of the artists left, and I stayed there with Emma, Jake, Gemma. There's a couple of artists left. Danny left, and took a girl called Paris as well. She left, and yeah, it was it kind of split the atmosphere in half. And this was within the second month that I was there. So I was there for 2 months. I was living in my car at this point because I was like, I had nowhere to stay. So I was living in my car. I could have gone home. I was homeless. Couldn't afford anything. I wasn't tattooing. I had maybe one client a week, so I wasn't earning hardly nothing. But it was the first time I was starting to get money. My mum bought me a car, which was like £1,000, I think, 1,200 quid, which is really cheap for a car. And it was a little Fiat Punto, and it did the job. And I got this car from my mum, and I was like in tears. I was like, fucking hell, like, you know, somewhere I can sleep. And I ended up traveling down all my stuff and sleeping in my car for 4 months, around Woking, then driving in the mornings. But I was taking washes and showers and shit, and I was like finding gyms. I was going for a gym membership, pay like £10 or something for a session, or £5 for a session, as cheap as I could, because they had a shower and a sink where I could do my teeth and shower so I wouldn't smell. And then I would try and, yeah, I would park my car somewhere like under an underpass somewhere, or in like around the back of a housing estate or something. The amount of parking tickets I got while sleeping in my car was a joke. It must have been over 20 in them 4 months, because these fuckers come around really fucking early, man. They come around early. But yeah, like, and not being funny, if someone's sleeping in their car, don't you think, you know, they're in a bit of shit? Don't you think that, you know, life hasn't handed them a good card at that moment in time? But still, they went and got, you know, they still gave me a parking ticket. And I remember one guy, I was like, I woke up because I saw like shadows around the car, and I was parked outside the back of the studio, sleeping in my fucking car because the owner didn't trust me to sleep on the sofa that was in the studio, even though he had cameras up. I was like, dude, like, fuck me, just let me, like, what? Like, why don't you trust? Like, I'm a decent guy. Trust me to fucking sleep on your sofa, dude. You know what I mean? And then get out before everyone's here, go and get myself ready, then come back, you know? But that, you know, I mean, it's his studio, he could do what he wants. So it was, yeah. I just know if someone else was in my situation and I owned a studio with a fucking massive sofa, I'd be like, yeah, just go and kip on the studio fucking sofa. You're really that fucking desperate. Yeah, so I stayed in the car for 4 months, got loads of parking tickets, was having washes in McDonald's toilets late at night when no one was around. I was going to Tesco supermarkets, going into the disabled toilets, washing in there. And my mum and dad was like, just come home. I was like, I do not want to come home. I want to grind. I need this. I need to be around here because I've actually secured a fucking job. I've actually secured a place in a studio where I see clients coming in and out, and I want some of that clientele. I need to push myself. I was there for 3 months. I was starting to become unhappy because of the situation with the studio. The atmosphere changed. It wasn't a nice vibe anymore. The owner, the silent owner that was supposed to stay silent and just back the studio as a business, started running it like it's very poorly run. It became very, very badly run. In the term of a successful studio, world renowned successful studio, it was very poorly run. They're into I'm not gonna say that, but because that would have been bad because I've already said the studio name. So but yeah, no, like it just wasn't my cup of tea, basically. So I basically, ended up leaving. I was unhappy. I was speaking to my mate Che, who I'd met in Essex through my years of going down and partying, DJing with my mates Connor and Chris and all those people down in Essex. I was, when the house vibe was good and I was DJing and stuff like that, producing and stuff. We would have mad house parties and just stuff like that, like back when I was a bit younger. And Shay was a tattooist in Essex, and yeah, long story short, he was in Denmark, and he was like, "How you doing?" But I was like, "Oh, I'm unhappy. I feel like I've hit a brick wall." Do you know, like when I was in the, I was looking at all the artists doing their thing. I was learning. I was in an environment that was really, what's the word, like, really creative, really inspiring. And then when everybody left, and there was just a few of us left, and we were stuck with this owner that didn't tattoo. He was just a backer. He just owned the studio. He wanted us to sign contracts. Fuck that. He wanted us to, he was asking us to do crazy shit like tattoo different people for free and shit. And I was like, fuck this. Just because he owed him money and stuff, or he owed him a favor or whatever. We were kind of being used a bit, exploited. So I became unhappy. A lot of artists in the studio was talking and they wanted to leave, but they didn't know when. Emma eventually left. Gemma eventually left. Jake's still there. And then I left. And there was another couple of artists in the final few months that came in that we, they were like, dude, what the fuck is this studio? And I was like, I know, I need to go. I'm out. And I was speaking to an owner of a really successful studio in Denmark, who some of the best tattoo artists in the world fly to, from Italy and from Brazil and places like that. Really, really good renowned studio. Iron and Ink, it's called. And Havaro, his name is. Shout out to you, Havaro, because you're a fucking G. Che had a word with him and he was like, yeah, come over. I was like, sweet. So he flew me over to fucking Denmark. And he made me feel at home. He made me learn about different techniques. This studio was fucking huge. It was awesome. Let me try and get it up. The studio was huge, dude. It was really, really, really cool. Just can turn it off so I could try and find this. And yeah, it was a really inspiring, creative place to be in, with artists that I've never known could be so good at tattooing. This is stuff that I've just seen online, never in person. And when you see this type of work in real life, you are in awe. You are in awe of this type of witchcraft coming from this needle. You're like, fuck me, how can they do this? Like, I want to be that good. I want to be that dedicated, that, smashing it so much. I need to be that good. So yeah, so I basically ended up going to this studio in Denmark, and I was there for 3 weeks. I couldn't get on with the country. I don't know what it was. I just could not get on with the country. And yeah, so I was there for nearly a month, and this is it here. Let's go on the maps. Actually, no, you know what? I'll go back onto Google Earth, and we'll go back on that because it's easier to see. But so I went from. Let's have a look. Let's turn this back on. So I went from the UK to. So I went from the UK to Denmark. So I flew from London all the way over to here. It wasn't that far. And I was in Vejle. There, that's where I was in Denmark. So I went and worked at Iron and Ink in Vejle. It's nice town. This is the first time I've sort of gone international with my tattooing. And I don't know where it was now, but it's a very different place. A lot of greenery, really thick forest, really beautiful place, Denmark. Same as Sweden as well. And that's where I worked for about a month. Couldn't get on. It was supposed to be just like a guest spot thing, and then he was asking me to stay, and I was like, oh, like I'm such a home guy again, back from the plumbing days. I'm such a home guy. I don't think I can do that. And he was like, okay, bro. He wasn't forceful. I was still tied to V1 as well. I'd just gone for a guest spot, and then when I got back to V1. I was like, I know now how a proper world-renowned studio is run. When I got back, I was thinking, fuck, I need to get out of here because this is just going to drag me down again. There's not many decent studios with good artists that know. Especially owners. And so, yeah, so I ended up going back home. Back to London, back to Woking, and I hated it. And when I got back, he was packing all my stuff up. The owner was packing all my stuff up. I'd had a room in the studio with my name above the door, everything, and he was packing my fucking shit up. And I was like, "What's going on, bro?" He was like, "You were fucking blah blah blah." And he had this. The owner of the studio had this. Because he couldn't work, because he didn't know how to tattoo. He had this thing that everyone was going to fuck him over, and he had to try. This is why the contracts were brought out to try and protect himself. And I completely understand that. I do completely understand that. But he did it. He went about it the wrong way. I was saying that, you know, while I was over there on my guest spot, I went to try and get better to help the studio I was working in. To learn, to build myself up, to get better, to learn all these different techniques, all these different shading techniques, all these lining techniques. And I wanted to be the best in the studio, to have that authority to make it, because I love the studio. I love the people that were in there. I love the artists. We were a family. You know, the owner of the studio always said that we were a family. And I was like, yeah, sweet. Like, I want to be the big brother that goes out, gets better, provides, and comes back with the fucking with the knowledge from these unbelievable artists that I can start to build this studio up, and we all make more money, and the owner makes more money. But he didn't see it like that. He saw it as me going away and working for someone else, and he thought I was going to leave. Even though I told the guy that was running the studio, the manager, not the owner, the manager, he was a really young guy. I said, yeah, I'm going for a couple of weeks to a month. I'll be back. They cancelled all my clients. They cancelled everyone. They left me in the shit. They got a new artist in while I was away. And he had my fucking. I walked in. All my room was empty. They'd gone in to all my stuff, emptied all my stuff out, and I went nuts. I was like, "Yeah, fuck this. I'm out." fuck this. Like, you've seriously disrespected me as a person, like going through my personal belongings. And I assure, have the chat with me when I'm back, like a professional, have the chat with me when I'm back and explain to what you're feeling. Get some reassurance from the person that, get some reassurance that I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to, just leave the studio like Danny did. Although he did have his reasons to leave, 100%, but equally, just be a bit more professional about it. So that happened anyway. Long story short, this was years ago, by the way. Ended up going back to Denmark. I left the studio because I was like, I can't have that. I was still doing community service on the Mondays. So I had to be back I think I missed one day. I missed a community service day because I was still in Denmark and I missed my flight, and I was like, fuck, I'm fucked for community service. And had to go in and basically try and persuade them not to send me back to fucking prison. So I ended up going back home and working from my mum's studio again until I was I was there for Christmas. I think I went back for Christmas, did some tattoos there. This is towards the end of the story now. I know it's getting up to 2 hours, which has gone quick for me. And yeah, ended up going back up there, and then I got a job with I was still looking out for jobs and stuff, and there was a guy while I was in V1 in Woking on the screen. There was a guy called Glenn Carlos, who was renowned to be insane, really, really, really good. He was working out in Belgium with his missus, and there was news that he was coming back to the area, and he'd just set up a studio in the area and stuff like that. So I approached him. He was looking for artists when the studio was fully going to open. He was looking for artists to work as soon as the studio opened on the first day. And I sent him a message. I sent him some work, some examples of work, and he was like, "Yeah, sweet, let's go and have a chat." So when I had a chat. Went into like a bar in Weybridge, which is literally the next town on from where I live now. It's all strange. And yeah, he offered me the job, and I was like, "This is sick," I was scared. I was kind of bigging myself up, like, yeah, I know how to shade, I know, blah blah blah. I had no clue. Just kind of winged it. He was like, "But don't worry, like if you're stuck, just give me a shout and I'll come over and give you a helping hand." So I was like, sweet. And yeah, I was in there for a year. I learned so much, man. Massive shout out to Glenn Carlos and every artist that he employed. He was obsessed with tattooing, just like me. He had the drive, he had the passion, he wanted to get better, he was trying new things, he was trying more equipment, he was he just come from a studio in Belgium with world-renowned artists, the same kind of level as Iron and Ink in Denmark. All these places are, I think it's called Inksane in Belgium. Look it up. And Iron and Ink as well in Belgium. I'm pretty sure Ruben Tattooer is now working there, and he's one of my favorite artists. So look him up as well. Ruben Tattooer. So I was slowly starting to get myself into the industry in the right areas, which is what I wanted all along. And yeah, he employed me. We went live the first day. It was just me and him. And then there was another guy that came in called Philip Paseka. He was a really cool guy. He was a Polish guy, I think. Lithuanian guy. He was really, really good at color. He's really, really good at black and gray. He's super smooth shading, like loads from him. And this tattoo shop was awesome. It was a year went past. I was there for a year because he then told everyone to leave the studio because he was going on TV, basically onto a tattoo program, and he was going away for it. So he had to shut the studio because obviously he wasn't there. And yeah, and basically this studio for a year, I never get bored. I never got bored of going in. It was never a chore to, oh shit, I need to go back and shoot. I was there every day, motivated as hell. And when you're in that kind of environment, in that creative environment, when it's the nice environment to be in, you will honestly, you'll lap it up and you'll learn so much in a small amount of time. It's just finding that right environment with the right people. Obviously there was still things that I didn't like about it. He was so obsessed with making the studio right and keeping the name lovely, and we was getting loads of likes. It was like loads of likes and loads of companies wanted to endorse us and stuff like that. And he would tell me to do things that I didn't want to do. Those things that I didn't want to do. And he was like, you need to do them because we're not going to turn clientele away. I was like, fuck me, like, am I an artist or am I an apprenticeship? Do you know what I mean? I felt entitled to do those tattoos that I didn't particularly want to do, because he'd given me this great opportunity to learn from someone that's really, really sick, really, really good. And so I did them, and I learned. I did some bad tattoos, and I learned from them, and he wasn't happy, and we went through that. But it's a learning curve, and you're going to do bad tattoos. You're going to do things that you're not experienced in, which is one of the reasons I didn't want to do them. And you eventually learn from them, and you become a better artist. And a year went by. I really enjoyed my thing, and I was kind of gutted. On my birthday, they got presents and stuff like that. It was a really, really nice place to work. Ladies and Gentlemen Tattoo Studio, that's where it was. Shout out. Len Carlos. Paris came in as well. Paris, from the original studio I was in. She was like the apprentice. She started to tattoo. She went over to Sweden, then came back, and then came into Glenn's studio. So it was a familiar face. Yeah, man, it was a really, really cool fucking shop to work in. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about processes with shading. I learned a lot about shading techniques. I learned a lot about opaque greys. I did a lot of stuff like that. And I'll try and find some work actually from that time. But yeah, while I was in there, I was just, I was super, super motivated. Really, really motivated. Let's have a little look. Here we go. So this is from my. So this is going to be really valuable. Someone walked over my grave. That was weird. So this is some of the stuff I do. This then going on here. So this was some of the stuff that I did. Can't really see. Let's have a little look. This was some of the stuff I did at my mum's studio. You can see in the background here. Wait, where is it? You can see in the background here. This is the wall. This is the little thing I had of my mum's studio. This again was in my mum's studio. All this. I was doing all stuff like this, and it was cool, man. It was a good experience. Let's just say that. There you go. You can see it's a bit better now, but so you can see that, and yeah, that was from my mum's studio. You can see there. Look, I'd saved up for a Mac. I'd have my phone there. I'd have my stencil on the thing, my bin. This is the type of work. So I was doing line work. I was starting to shade here, but I didn't have a fucking clue what I was doing. I think I was using a round liner. I didn't know how to use it. I was just flicking it like this, which is basically what you're supposed to do, but consistency in my hand speed and stuff wasn't the same, so it wasn't that great. But Yeah, I was learning to pack in black. So I was basically using like a 5-round liner, maybe a 7-round liner, and then just packing in blacks and just, trying to shade. What else? No, that's current. This is all my drawing. I can't believe this is all on here on Google. That's a drawing that I did fucking ages ago. It's not that good, I don't believe. I don't believe it's that good. What's all this now? This is no. Let's have a look. Yeah, so there's one that I have done. This is all from my YouTube now. Let's have a look. But yeah, so those are the pieces that I did in my mum's place before I got to Ladies and Gentlemen. Just look, pretty sure this is my tattoo did. Yeah, not much. So like these are the drawings I was doing and not very good. They're not very good. I'm not even going to show you that. Quite embarrassing. But yeah, so yeah, I stayed there for about a year at Ladies and Gentlemen, and it just went by so fast, man. Like, it's a really, really good environment to be in, and yeah, I loved it there. Really, 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 really loved it there. And I'm trying to find bits. Find any? I wonder if I can put in Ladies. Oh, Oliver, Ladies and Gentlemen, doesn't come up. Anyway, I was starting to use like opaque greys and stuff like that. Yeah, I was there for a year, ended up leaving. One of my clients, and this is where I then got to now, one of my clients was Jason. I tattooed his son. The announcement went out that I was leaving the Ladies and Gentlemen tattoo studio, and I think I've got some on Facebook too, because I've definitely got some. And yeah, basically he had a place that I could rent, and that's where I rented. That's where I rented, and that's where I am now. So yeah, I've been here now I moved into my flat where I am now. Started to get some money while I was at Ladies and Gentlemen studio. When that worked. While I was at Ladies and Gentlemen tattoo studio. Going on here, brother. I was starting to get clientele. I was learning a lot. I was starting to get clientele. Daughter's just got her first tooth. Probably going nuts at me. I haven't up, and I haven't seen my phone in a while, so I'm very sorry. So basically, I met my current landlords, I guess, through tattooing at the studio, and this is what I say about life journeys. You start to go through life journeys, and you meet people that really do become essential parts of your life. And they're very, very, very close friends of mine now. I rent from them, and and they've done me great. They're family friends. They've done me a good thing, really. That they've helped me get back up on my feet where I didn't have another clue where to go. The industry is quite hard. When you leave a tattoo studio or you get kicked out of a tattoo studio, you don't know where to go. You don't have a clue. And it's quite daunting because you're stuck. I've built then a name up for myself. This is some of the tattoos. You'll see the progression through work, way down bottom. And yeah, like, you'll start to build a clientele base around where you are working, and then, you know, as soon as you move, you have to start all over again. That's why I'm kind of shitting. So with this COVID-19 thing, that's where I'm at in my journey now. Is I'm unsure whether or not I'm going to be leaving this place. So you know, I've been here for 5 years now. It's been a blessed 5 years. It's been really fun. I've learned. I've, you know, gained loads more knowledge. Yeah, tattoos I'm doing. So this is the stuff. Oh no, it's not. Is it? Nope. Yeah, here we go. This is the stuff I was doing, ladies and gentlemen. This is when I first started to push myself and push my belief that I could do things. So, yeah. So this is a piece that I did. The Buddha piece. You can see why it's not really gone in that nice on here. But I'm saturating the skin nicely. You know, it's not too bad. This is another one. This is the tattoo that I did on Jason, one of my landlords, and that's healed really nice. It's quite dark actually, but it's healed really nice. So yeah, I was doing all these kind of different weird pieces and stuff like that. I never thought when he'd come into that studio, ladies and gentlemen, that I would be where I'm now. I never thought that he was going to be my landlord. So I was still doing stuff like this. You know, I was working on my lines. This is still my lines from working at V1 and working back at my mum's. So I was still able to put in some solid lines. A bit wobbly on the smaller lines, but I was only tattooing for about a year and a half maybe at this point. That's some of my first roses again in the studio, ladies and gentlemen. This is me in Denmark. See it. This is me in Denmark. See, you guys, me tattooing in Denmark. He was a really cool guy. That's while I was over in Denmark, and these are just designs and stuff that I was doing that I was really enjoying. And this is when I started to first use Photoshop as well. This is the American Indian sleeve I started as well, which I really like. This is now where I'm starting to use opaque grays in the background. You can see that? This is back in 2016. It's 2016. It's 6 years ago. 6 years ago? 5 years ago. 5 years ago, yeah. This is 5 years ago. So starting to put the white in the thing. You know, I was starting to find my tones, starting to be a bit more cleaner with my shading. I was using a Spirit back then. Using a Cheyenne Spirit tattoo machine. Bright red one. Still got it. Still got all these machines. But I was starting to introduce opaque greys into my work because that's what Glenn did. That's what that's his chair there. That's Glenn's chair. So yeah, so I then started to follow Lil B, which I really want to get onto this podcast. I'd love to get him onto this podcast because he inspired me to start stippling. You can see all the stipple. This whole piece is done by stippling with a 3-round liner, and I studied Lil B. So shout out to Lil B. I met him at the London Tattoo Convention a few years ago now. Probably doesn't remember. But yeah, so like the thick outline, you can see the thick outline in my work, and then, you know, the background to have a nice flow to it, with the smoky effects, and all this is stippled. So yeah, and then I started to get into mag work. It's like a Jack the Ripper sleeve I was doing. Again, you know, tattooing lines and stuff, solid lines, you know, just trying to be as neat as possible. And this is, again, still 2016. It's 22nd of October 2016. Start to use mags again. This is awful, you know. Still, it's practice though. It's practice. The nose, all the lighting's off, you know. It's all off. It's not great, but it's not bad, but it's not great. You know, lines again, still just shading off. Just you know, I was practicing working with a mag, working with you know, a curved magnum, working with shading, trying to get better. Again, this is one of my first pieces. I was like, yeah, this is sick. This is a cover up. There was something on his wrist. There's big writing here, which I had to cover up. And this is when I started to have a few companies, starting to approach a few companies, trying to get a sponsorship. I don't know why I tried to do that. More for ego. When you start to get a bit better, I suppose you do get a bit of an ego, and it kind of wears off as you get older. I was only young still back here. This is 2016. This is 6th of November now. Let's see. What else? This is just some filler. It's all on my. Again, I was really inspired by Jack Connolly. I was really inspired by Matthew James at this point. I was really inspired by Lil B with the stippling, and that's kind of what I was trying all different kinds of designs on Photoshop. I was trying all kind of different designs through things, you know. And then Eric Massinazin, I looked at him, and he was doing all this kind of stuff, and I was like, this looks sick. And yeah, this is the studio. This is the ladies and gentlemen studio. You can see. That's Jules, that's Glenn's missus at the time. But again, I was using opaque greys, like you can see. Opaque greys. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this. This isn't finished. The top of this wasn't finished, but you had to tap out, because obviously when you go towards the top of the arm, it's pretty bad. But I was experimenting with smoke, you know, sticking smoke through the piece and stuff like that. All different. This is where my work started to get a bit better now. I started to, you know, really try and push my designs and stuff like that. And my smooth shade, I was using I was using world famous inks, which are renowned to be really dark, really pigmented, so be quite careful. But this healed nice. This is on a lovely guy called Paris. He was a fucking sick guy. I started to do a wolf thing, sleeves, started to do roses, and that's it healed. That's that piece healed from earlier. It's healed really nicely. It's still like that. There's loads of different pieces, just trying mag work, you know. It's 2016 still, so I started in 2014, so I was 2 years into tattooing at this point, but it wasn't consistent 2 years. You know, at this point, I was only in there for started it. I think I started tattooing. It's a good maybe 4 months. I was 4 months in, and you can start to see now. This is Eminem. This is when I went back Christmas and worked from my mum's studio. This is the door that came into the studio. But yeah, this is an Eminem portrait that I was doing, and you start to see my work now progress. This is when I left, by the way. So 2017 this is. So I was there for a year at this point. And 1st of January 2017 was New Year's Day. I did this piece, and this is when I went back home, because I'd left the studio. And it was the transition between the studio I'm in now and the studio that I was in with Glenn from Belgium. So this is now in my new studio. And this is the background of my new studio. This is 2017. So yeah, I've been there for a few years now. And this is all the, you know, I was still using opaque greys in the background. Sometimes in here as well. And this is when I started to really push. You can see my work change now. Really started to push. It's only about 6 months. That's the healed piece again. Tried to do some color. Never again. Hate color. Hated it. It's a different tattoo there. Winston Churchill. More designs. Just really trying to push. But again, see these lines. All these lines. I know now having experience. All these lines are because my hand speed is going too fast for the machine speed. And my course, I have to shout out my course as well while I'm here. My course is coming out very soon. I had loads of issues with it. Loads of issues. Been very annoying. But yeah. And we're slowly going to work our way through. This is quite a cool piece. It's like a smoke, like 2 pictures in one, skull on a woman. London scene in here. You can see that. You know, just kind of different. You know, I was starting to really push my line work, my shading. That's the healed portrait pieces. Me on Photoshop again. Photoshop. I want to do that actually. I didn't get around to doing that. Again, that. This is a massive cover up I did. And yeah, I'll just flick through these really quickly. Started to do all kinds of stuff like this. Greek gods. Cover up again. There's a cover up look. This was a couple of stippled roses. But again, I'm starting to practice more. Here you go. There's more of the stippling here, following the shape of the leaves. And yayo, this is loads of different things now. Here. Yeah, I was really starting to push my tattoos. So yeah, so this is 2017 still. So I'm quickly going to go through. This is a little poster I did of all the recent tattoos. So I'm now starting to see the light and stuff like that. I'm now starting to, you know, practice a bit more. It's a nice skull I've done. Yeah, and this is where I started to really concentrate on smoothing my shading out, doing some portrait work. It's 2018 now. We're in June. 2019. So this is pretty close. Pretty close up. These designs I've done. Designs. This is all the stuff this is like, well, 2 years ago now. So this is quite new. You see the different shadings and stuff. What on earth was that? Back? Yeah. These are all now my designs, my recent works. You can see how my work's progressed. That's that healed picture from the Glenn studio. He came back and got his chest and stuff done, and his other arm. That's the healed shot from Glenn's studio. Like stippling, I have to say, stippling heals so good, so good. Yeah, again, it's a little wolf portrait thing, lion. That's the healed thing, the healed one from Glenn's studio again. This is another one that's healed from Glenn's studio. You know, this is close up, detailed work, stippled, some shading. That's the full chest piece, looking at it. So you can see I've taken things from how I've grown as an artist with the, you know, the thick, harsh outlines that I started following Lil B. I've taken all different inspirations from different artists that I've looked up to and studied their techniques and applied them to my own work and tried to make it work in my style. It's me with a beard, tattooing, 2019 in March. I actually like that. That's cool. It's a strong beard, bruv. I'm growing it back. This is another piece that I was quite proud of. 2019. All these things now. This is my flatmate now. I met him through tattooing. You know, you start to create new relationships through tattooing. All my best friends now I've met through the last 5 years of tattooing. Yeah, it's you just got to be careful because some people want something for nothing when they're trying to befriend a tattoo artist. So just be careful of that. And this is, you know, again 2019. Healed work down on the bottom there. This is a portrait of Johnny Cash I did. A ship and Rose. That's me acting like. Just loads of different things, man. Just, you know, healed, some not, some fresh. It's like a war scene. That's again Greek mythology, and now I'm really starting to use lighter tones in my work because it's a lot more realistic. You know, this is one of the selfies. This is one of the pieces I really enjoyed. This guy flew from Switzerland to come and get tattooed by me last year, the year before last, and he had this work done by a really, really good artist. I can't remember what his name is, but really, really, really cool. And to see this work up close, healed in person, I was like, bloody yeah, pressure much. Do you know what I mean? And especially because he was flying from Switzerland, which isn't a long flight. It's only like an hour tops, but I was I was like, wow, okay, I need to be on my game here. And so this is that's it, healed. I went back and touched into this this rose and a bit into the smoke, and that's healed. So that's healed perfect. That's healed perfect. That's again another picture of the healed. So lines are really solid. You know, the hair's starting to come back. It's a biggie healed. It's a close up of some cherubs and a rose I added in. Close up of Tupac, close up of thingies. These are all my tattoo things. Close up. I was starting to do a lot more things now, like getting the flow of some pieces. Again, close ups. Yeah. Really starting to push my work. Do different styles, do things that I really enjoyed. And that's my first win at a competition last year before now. Well, I suppose it is last year. It's 2019 on the 15th of June. That's my Range Rover in the back, wrapped. So I'm now starting to make a bit more money, and you know, yeah, it was a really good time in my life. Winning that, I've got it over there. It's on my bedside table. And yeah, this is where I'm now, guys, and see now the pieces that I'm doing. Just trying to be super clean, get the flow. This is the piece that won the competition. That's it healed. It's it healed, so yeah, it's healed pretty nice. That's on the same guy. Yeah, and that's it healed. You can see it's got a lot of stuff in that. That's healed as well. Yeah, it's now getting onto my current work, kind of. Some script on the hand I did. More geo stuff from back when I was, you know, working. Doing that. That's healed. Trying out different inks. That's healed. That's from a few years back. Ladies and gentlemen, that was at a tattoo convention. And this is all now onto October 2019. So this is like last year. I remember doing that. I was guesting. That's where I first met my girlfriend as well, on that guest spot now, back in October 2019. It's funny how things, you know, everything in my life now has revolved around tattooing. And I've had opportunities. That's a guy that came and did a seminar. Shout out to you, bro. Girl from Sweden that flew over. Got, you know, these things. And you'll see different. That's healed. That's healed. That's healed. Yeah, that's healed. You know, I'm just still trying different things. This is in studio last year at Pat Shanty, the guy that was on the first episode. That was in a studio that he was working in. Yeah, man. Again, client's portrait. You know, I'm still trying to progress. Couple selfies, New Year's, my missus. This is healed. No, it's not. It's not healed. It's my new merch. Did that at the studio as well, guesting at Pat's. This was on a rapper, young ads, you know, all these different types of things. This is now January last year, so this is a year ago. This is exactly a year ago now. Geometric stuff, going to the convention, more geometric stuff. This is healed geometric stuff. So line work on an elbow, again, is really hard. You'll see that. See, I'm just now going to flick. That's healed from time ago. Hands. That's my dad's tattoo. That's one of the most successful videos on this channel. Live streamed. Again, just, you know, sticking in that time. That's healed. That was on the other side of that. Mary. Close up of the Mary. Got some portrait work. Big gaps. That's another portrait. All that stuff I've done as well. This is me over the years. It's about 2 years, I think. Portraits, that's him now again. It's all me. Yeah. The texture in the road, you can see here. You can't see him, but the texture in the road. That's healed. Most of that's healed. That's freshly done. All these things, man, like all these tattoos now that I'm doing, that's cool. Really like that. That's all healed. Apart from this part here, but all that's healed. Again, I was using different ink. I was trying out different inks. I'm always constantly trying to better myself. I'd take a few days out and then go back, and that's healed. Go back and, you know, and I'd take some time out. This is healed. I'd take some time out and I would just go away and learn, practice, take a seminar, you know, take a course, learn a course. This is now my current stuff that I've done recently. This is now the last 6 months stuff. So you can see how my work's progressed. Got more detail out of the needles I'm using, changed my setup and stuff like that. You know, this is one of my favorite ever tattoos I've done. So this is all stuff that I've done recently. It's not. I did the bear on the other side of this. This is healed. Did the bear on the other side. Added the wrist filler. Create some texture and some direction. This is a full sleeve that I've managed to do. This is me working with the new wand machine with Bishop. This is all relatively new stuff. Again, up my game with the shading, the Bishop, man. Really did. This is recent as well. Recent, as you know. This was live as well on this channel, so you could go back and see that. And that is it. And that is December. And that is the last tattoo I did before lockdown. So yeah, I want to end that here. And now we're in a pandemic, and it's been 2.5 hours. This is my whole life story. Going back to the community service, I did polish that off in a year. I smashed it out. I did fucking loads of hours. I was doing like 15 hours in some weeks and stuff like that. So I was doing crazy hours, and yeah, smash it off, and I'm now a clean guy. You know, before I moved into the studio that I'm in now, I'm a clean guy, keeping myself out of trouble, and I've got a family now, and I've got a beautiful girlfriend, which I was very lucky to meet. And yeah, man, next step is marriage, I think, but we'll see about that one. But yeah, I just want to say thank you if you've made it this far on the podcast. Thank you for having me on, and thank you for listening to me waffle on about my fucking life story. But that's pretty much my life from school to now, and I'm now living in a flat in a nice place in London, which, you know, COVID-19 is now fucking us all up. So yeah, see what the future holds. The course is going to be coming out very, very, very soon. I've literally got the website. I will actually show you a peeky glimpse. You people that have made it this far, how about that? I'm not going to say the website yet because I'm not sure if it's actually is it live? Might have to go. It's not live. Can't show you yet, but it is under maintenance. And yeah, I'm really excited about this, guys. I'm just trying to make sure it's all nice and all in order and the right stuff for you to learn from, and, you know, as clear and simple as possible, not longing it out for hours of video. Just proper clear, straight to the point, not, you know, hours long videos and stuff like that. Yeah, I just want to make sure it's all nice, straight to the point, tattoo, secrets exposed. And I have to say, it's some of the best stuff I think's out there to learn from. So yeah, thank you very much for watching the episode 2 of this podcast, and I will see you guys in the next one, hopefully next week. I'm trying to get some people on. Haven't heard back yet, so let me sort all that out. But yeah, thank you very much. Please smash a like on the video. Please subscribe if you're new. It really helps the channel out, really helps this podcast out. And the more this is hyped up, the more you like this video, the better people I can get on here, learn from, to help me learn, to help you guys learn, and I can come at you with some really valuable content. So take care, guys. Peace out.